Hello and welcome to Anglesey in the north of Wales for round 7 of the series. GP1 Championship contender John Ingram is on fire this round as he sets an outright lap record here on the coastal circuit. This is Thundersport Elite.
Well, here we are then in sunny North Wales. We've had a bit of mist this morning, but we're getting ready for the start of the races here, the Sportsman Elite 600 and of course GP1. But I'd first of all like to speak to one of the marshals here. Marshals, the volunteers, the unsung heroes of Thundersport GB events. I've grabbed, he's known as Papa Smurf in the paddock, but Dave Jacks. Dave, how long have you been marshalling?
1986 I started, which is 27 years.
And what got you into it?
I basically got asked to, it was a local charity thing, and my then wife wouldn't let me jump out of an aeroplane, but she did say I could go to Alton Park. And I went to Alton Park and it just carried on from that. I think she wished I had jumped out of the aeroplane.
And Thundersport GB, your connection with Thundersport, when did you first come over to these parts?
I first met Dave in previous clubs, and then when my wife died in 2008, I basically took up with Thundersports GB and I've done pretty well in most meetings since then.
Now there's a nice family community within the paddock, and the marshals especially get along very, very well, and the word volunteer is the big point here, because all of you guys work incredibly hard. It's obviously you've all got your own jobs to do in between all that, so you must enjoy it here because you've been coming for so long.
Yeah, I do. Now I'm on a 3-day week. It gives me more time, and so I get most weekends in 2 to 3 days every weekend.
Now, in terms of the voluntary aspect of things, we've got all sorts of age groups that can come and marshal. There's people in the paddock that even could come and marshal. So I think it's 16-ish you can start?
16-ish, you'll be supervised and looked after. That's not a problem.
By you?
I have looked after a few that have gone on to become sectors and gone up in the fraternity. Yeah. And
what the oldest marshal? I understand there's a marshal 89, something like that.
Yeah, that'd be Bob. He does Pembury and Brands Hatch. He's a flag marshal at the moment, and he still does it. Sleeps in his car at Pembury. Yeah.
And obviously we'll call out to anybody. I mean, there's volunteers out there. If they want to come, they can just obviously get on the website. It's quite an easy situation, isn't it?
Yeah, you get on the website, contact the Chief Marshal, and he'll get you here. Once you come out onto the circuit, you'll unfortunately get placed with someone like me that's been doing it a bit, and I try not to get anybody get hurt or anything, and since I started 27 years ago, I've never actually had anybody injured on my post, and you'll be looked after and shown the ropes. Take it from there.
Yeah, it's important to emphasise the fact that obviously with marshalling there are different roles within marshalling. It's not like somebody's going to jump into marshalling and then all of a sudden they're going to have to use the radio, they're going to have to wave flags. You've got corner commanders, flag marshals, foot soldiers.
Yeah, I like to start them off, say on the first half day I'll just have them observing from the bank. On the second half day, if they feel up to it, I'll take them out, or they'll go on flags and learn how the flag works. It depends on their ability and what they feel they want to do. There's no compulsion that you've got to go out on track, there's no compulsion you've got to wave flags. It's what you feel confident doing or what you feel you would like to do, not what you have to do. We're volunteers.
Well, there you go, you've heard it from the horse's mouth. I've actually spent a little bit of time marshalling with Dave myself. I can tell you that everything he says is absolutely true, other than the bit of taking care of us. But no, I'm only joking. Dave is a great marshal. Any of you that want to get out there, as he says, get onto the website, get in touch with us and get out there and get on the circuit. Yes, a massive thanks to Dave Jacks there for talking to us, and get yourself on that website. Here we are then for the start of racing, the bike insurer Thundersport GP1. Some big names on the grid here. You just saw Jess Traylor, who's come along to play in the Superstock 1000 class, and of course there, Jonathan Lodge. Jonathan, who's attended a few Thundersport rounds over the years, has decided to come over here in Anglesey
and see if he can play with the big boys. John Ingram, we didn't expect to see him here this weekend. There were rumours that he wouldn't be here, that he'd be at the Classic TT, but that's fallen through, and that means he can fight for this GP1 championship. But you can see from the pictures here as they make their way into the first couple of corners, a really misty morning here in North Wales. John Ingram's got off to the best start. That is not your TV screens, do not adjust it. That is the sea mist. We didn't really know whether we were actually going to get started with the racing this morning. You can see there quite a lot of mist, but it's a good start from John Ingram, who can actually take the championship lead here if he picks up 25 points. It depends on Phil Crow. It looks like got off to a terrible start. Jonathan Lodge there in second. Oh, a nice move there into Rocket Out, the right-hander. Jess Trailer just going up underneath Danny Murphy as they head up towards Peel, named after the great John Peel, of course. Just behind Danny Murphy there, the blue and white machine. A welcome back to the defending champion, Peter Baker, on the Morello Services Kawasaki, as they now filter through the corkscrew exit there and down into Club Corner. It's a really good start from John Ingram. Lap record pace, well, it's gone. Lap records have been broken in every single race so far. Such is the quality and class of this GP1 field here this weekend. The class for GP1, effectively power bikes and super stock thousands. There's Jess Trailer, the blue and white machine, just up ahead of Danny Murphy, who leads the super stock 1000 championship. Danny Murphy has actually been closing in the GP1s overall. He's closed right up to Phil Crow, number 71, and that man there, John Ingram, the Ram, number 56. There's Jonathan Lodge, number 26. Always great to have Jonathan. Oh, we got a couple of riders down there, and that looks like a nasty accident. That's number 3, Adrian Clark, who's down nearest to us, and in the background, that's Alistair Fagan, of course, Fast Bikes journalist on the JHS racing machine. Oh dear, that looked really, really nasty, and they're still down there, both riders. I do hope that they're okay, but they've obviously had a coming together there. That's Adrian Clark's bike that's sitting there smoking as the marshals set to work. So, well, we mentioned the marshals working hard. Well, they've not had to wait too long before they're running out onto circuit, helping out, but John Ingram continues to lead the race at the moment, and the marshals now trying to move Adrian Clark's bike out of the way. Adrian Clark is still on the floor, and wave yellow's going on. Alistair Fagan also laying down there, clearly hurt. By the looks of what's happened there, I'm quite glad that we didn't get to see it. There's the marshal just trying to pull the bike off circuit as they head up towards Church Corner. So that's happened between the banking and Church. So definitely a coming together of two bikes rather than maybe just one incident. There is John Ingram heading down the school straight. It's not so much a straight, this one flat out, cranked right over, and then an off-camber approach. There's Adrian Clark up and limping away. That is good to see, because he was concerning me a little bit laid down there. Alistair Fager just being treated by one of the marshals, and he'll get some medical assistance. So all the best to those boys. We head back to look at the two race leaders at the moment. John Ingram currently leading ahead of Jonathan Lodge as they now come down into the corkscrew. This wonderful left-right down into the complex. John Ingram it is, though, that still has the advantage. He's already broken the lap record here. It was set by originally David Jones at 108.9, but I think it's gone down to 108 flat now for John Ingram. And already in this race, they're down into 108.2 there for John Ingram as he just goes over a little bit of debris there. Jonathan Lodge has a look over his shoulder. He'll see that Jess Trailer, number 14, is there. Then it's Danny Murphy in 4th place on the red and white stock machine. There is Jess Trailer again, number 14. Nice to have Jess here. He's recently changed machines, of course, more regularly featuring in the BSB stock class along with Jonathan Lodge, but the pair of them here seeing how they fare in GP1. John Ingram, as I mentioned before, a win here, and he will actually take the championship lead, because at the moment Phil Crow is embroiled in a battle further back with the likes of John Robb and Angelo De Rosa, who's come back to play, Donald McFadden, Neil Watson. Nice to have Chris Barnes back out there with us as well. Barry Teasdale is Barry Teasdale's summer out on circuit. Chris Barnes actually went AWOL on the first lap, so he must have gone down or maybe pulled in with a mechanical. So number 21, Chris Barnes, no longer in this. John Ingram here, well, he will take the championship lead. As things stand, if the checker flag were to go out now, he'd have a 10-point lead over Phil Crow. Jonathan Lodge has not entered any of the rounds so far this season, although he has whispered to me that he is heavily considering attending our final round at Donington Park at the end of the season. Phil Crowe, who's had some decent results here at Anglesey in the past, this weekend it's not really quite coming together for him. Peter Baker, of course, back in the frame, back with us this weekend. He will move back up to 4th in the championship overall, but he's not really got much of a chance of catching Danny Murphy. In terms of Superstock Thousands, Danny Murphy is almost home and dry. He only needs a decent result at Mallory, our next round, to be crowned the Bike Insurer Superstock 1000 champion. And then it's just really a battle between the likes of Barry Teasdale, John Waghorn, etc., as to who gets 2nd and 3rd in that championship. And there is actually a 3rd championship running within the class here as well, the Clubman 1000 championship. That's for riders with a Clubman licence, and at the moment Daryl Dance is leading that ahead of Justin Stevenson and Jason Bayard. But in this race at the moment, John Ingram it is that has the advantage. Number 56, there is Jonathan Lodge in 2nd place still. Jess Traylor still hanging on in there in 3rd place. Danny Murphy, number 1, 2, 3 there in 4th place. Danny here, of course, won our Van Insura Sportsman Elite Championship last year. He won the Superstock and the overall championship. The rider from Rochdale on the MPR Racing Kawasaki. And there are rumours floating about that Danny Murphy will be moving over to Spain next year to challenge in the CEV Championship. I'd imagine that'll be the Stock Extreme Championship, unless they've managed to get their hands on a Moto2 bike. That's really nice to know. Danny's already had a play and a go at British Championship racing, but he fancies a pop at the Spanish Championship. So good luck to him. But in the meantime, he's got a 1000cc Stock 1000 Championship to get his hands on. So you see there Barry Teasdale just going through the picture ahead of Phil Crowe, number 71. There's Jonathan Lodge again, and we've got a rider down there, and that is that Barry Teasdale? It is. Just as I mentioned him, Barry Teasdale, the rider from Prado, who's been having such a fabulous season. I actually rate him as probably the biggest improver overall. He only started road racing last year. He won the pre-national 600 championship, and he was having a solid one here in Anglesey, but unfortunately he's gone down. Still a bit of sea mist out. You can see there Ingram still leading from Jonathan Lodge. There he is, number 56, the Ram. Looking at the Superstock standings at the moment in terms of the race, Lodge at the moment would take Superstock glory ahead of Traylor and Murphy. Further back, Donald McFadden, who's 9th overall on circuit, would be 4th ahead of Blake Walls. Marty Lennon is back with us. Always great to have Marty, one of the nicest characters around. He first started out with Thundersport in the opening year back in 2008. Really nice to see Marty back with us. He's out there having a play with Blake Walls and John Fisher at the moment. Then Jordan Watling is in 15th overall, but 7th in the Superstocks. Jordan, who had a really impressive Rockingham, number 95. Keep your eyes pinned out for him. In fact, every bit of their money, the family's money, goes into Jordan's racing. They actually remortgaged their house in order to get Jordan racing. And you've got to feel a bit sorry for some of Jordan's family, because originally all their money used to go into Jordan's mum, who was a show jumper for about 15 years. And then when she stopped that, all the money's gone into Jordan Racing. So they've just not stopped spending money on one thing or another. Switched from 4 legs to 2 wheels. So here is Ingram at the moment, still leading. Rarely makes a mistake, does John Ingram. And that is why he's able to close in the championship. I'd imagine that Phil Crowe was probably a little bit annoyed that he decided to turn up, because as I mentioned before, it wasn't originally set to attend Anglesey, but as it is, at the moment, he's odds on to take the championship lead away from Phil Crowe. But the only good thing going for Phil Crowe is that he is pretty handy around Donington and Mallory, but guess what, so is John Ingram. There is number 5, Marty Lennon on the red machine there, just up ahead of Fisher and Jordan Watling. Simon Critchlow also a part of that group, all looking and scrambling around for the last of the points as they now head down into the corkscrew. It's left-right. But, well, I'm hearing that both Adrian Clark and Alistair Fagan are in medical centre. In fact, from what I understand, I'm being told that Adrian Clark is currently being seen limping around the paddock, and Alistair Fagan's actually taken a little trip to hospital, so all the best to Al. our Fast Bikes magazine rider. There is Donald McFadden just having a race with our half Italian, half Welsh superstar Angelo De Rosa. In fact, De Rosa just going underneath him. He's half Italian, there he is, 157, half Welsh, and he lives in Wrexham. Work that one out. He's here on the Limpet Labels Kawasaki. He'll also be racing this weekend on a Ducati 996 in the Golden Era Superbike class. That will be in our Thundersport Plus show here on Motors TV. That'll be one to look out for, so keep your eyes peeled. We'll also actually, in that same programme, in that Thundersport Plus programme, we will have a special race coming up for you as well, the Demon Tweaks Super Prix of Wales. There's a £5,000 cash purse awaiting some of the winners in that one, so tune in to Thundersport Plus to see who wins that, because a number of the riders that you're looking at the moment will be entering that race. Of course, we've got plenty of other shows to come on Motors TV as well. The Aprilia Challenge, we have also Thundersport Naked, and then if you miss any of it, then you can always tune in to www.thundersportgb.com and check out the iPlayer. There is 181, that's Neil Watson, currently just inside the top 10 overall and looking to pick up another point. Sam Thompson is also out in this race somewhere as well, number 150, just getting some track time in, ready for his 600 race that's actually coming up next, believe it or not. But at the moment it's still Ingram that has the advantage. He's not lapping too much quicker than Jonathan Lodge, but it's about a 10th a lap, and it's enough at the moment to give him a decent lead. But one mistake and Lodgy will be there to swallow him up. Jess Traylor still in third place ahead of Danny Murphy. And then it is Peter Baker, number one, the Morello Services Kawasaki rider, the defending champion. Peter has not been with us the last couple of rounds. He has been struggling this year to get to grips with that Kawasaki. I'll tell you what though, that is some machine that he's got there. I had a word with his sponsor just before the start of the racing here this weekend, and he said, you know, there isn't a lot splitting that bike and the likes of Shaky Burns' bike in BSB. Peter, perhaps having been so used to Suzuki's in the last few years and having to now not just switch bikes, but switch tyres as well, he's just struggling a little bit to adapt. Don't by any means think that that means Peter Baker's done and dusted and then, you know, his time is up. He is still capable on his day of winning any race, but at the moment you're just looking at this battle between McFadden and Watson. Back to the leader there, number 56, John Ingram, around target. A very tricky left-hander to start things off with, and then into the banking. Not quite a hairpin, but you are cranked over for some time, and then you see he just picks up the bike, tries to dodge the bit of debris there. There is a lack of adhesion flag just at that point, just warning a few of the riders about that. Then into Church, a really quick right-hander, and then this, believe it or not, despite the fact that Jonathan Lodge is cracked over with his knee on the deck, that is the school straight. Uphill, flat out, and on the brakes, an off-camber left-hander into Rocket in, and then flick right again, Rocket out, and then power up towards Peel Corner. The views, believe it or not, even on the bike, are absolutely spectacular around here, especially on a sunny day. At the moment, the views are nothing more than mist. The riders are just about able to see each apex, but they won't be able to see an awful lot more than that. There's Danny Murphy just heading into the corkscrew, this wonderful left and right here, dropping down. Ever so easy to lose touch of the front end as you go into the right-hander at the corkscrew. There's Peter Baker though. He comes across the line, down into turn one, and John Ingram has picked up the 25 points. Just missed second place there, but I can tell you that it is Jonathan Lodge. The checker flag is out. It's Ingram that wins. Lodge second, Trailer third, Murphy fourth. We saw Peter Baker go across the line there to play fifth place. And I'm just waiting for Phil Crow. Yeah, Phil Crow has gone across the line and takes sixth place. So John Ingram is the new championship leader. Wow, amazing stuff here with only a few rounds to go. Of course, Mallory and Donington to come. John Robb finishes in 7th place. De Rosa on his return to Thundersport in 8th. Donald McFadden, 9th place. And then we saw him earlier on in the race, number 181 in 10th, Neil Watson. That's it then, the Bike Insurer Super Stock winner. Let's catch up with Lodgy. Jonathan Lodge there.
Jonathan Lodge, winner of the Superstock 1000 race, a brilliant result for you here. We've seen you in other places such as the British Championship, but your first time here at Thundersport.
Yeah.
What do you think to the class and the club?
Yeah, I've been enjoying it a lot. It's good fun. I get a lot of track time, and it's just a good laugh. It's nice to have a bit less pressure on you and just go out and enjoy yourself for a change. So, yeah, we're good. Felt all right today. I had a little bit of front end chatter, but we'll try and sort it out for next race, so it should be good.
A good result for you. Are there any sponsors you'd like to thank?
There's Earnshaw's motorcycles, diesel lift, additives, and motor breakers, Doncaster, Shaw and Rose, Doncaster.
And let's catch up with the new championship leader then, the Ram.
John Ingram, GP1 winner. You're having such a good weekend here with your outright lap record yesterday and a win for you here, beating some of the British Championship guys.
Yeah, I mean, race plan as always, trying to get in front, put a small gap in and do the minimal to take the win. Jonathan's obviously riding well, and one or two others have come into the meeting this weekend, which has made the grid, look a lot better. Which is all the better for us, still winning and having these other riders come on. We were supposed to be at the Manx this week, but that didn't happen. So that opens the championship up for us here. So we do want some consistent wins now to try and get the Thundersport Championship, just to pay, Dennis and Fred something back for the help this year they've given. It'd be nice to give them a championship, so that's our focus. So thank you to them too this weekend, and we're looking forward to the next race, steady and see if we can get the wins.
I hope to see you back up here. Any other sponsors you'd like to thank? Yeah,
I'd like to thank Steve from Morello. He helped me this year with the TT, and also Gadget Box Lester Stacey. He's stuck by me and he's offered me the use of the Honda for the TT again next year. So even at this stage we're looking at things planning for next year.
Well, don't go anywhere. Join us again after the break and we'll bring you action from the Van Insurer 600 Sportsman Elite. Welcome back to North Wales. It's Anglesey. 3 rounds to go in the championship, and the Van Insurer 600 Sportsman Elite on the grid. On pole position, local rider Jamie Harris, who lives just a few miles down the road. Second place, Mark Cronshaw on the grid. There's Curtis Wright, number 74. And then in 4th place, the Sportsman Elite 600 Championship leader, Daniel Freer. So he's got some competition this weekend. Look out for Richie McNeil on the 2nd row there in 5th place on the blue and white Suzuki, number 22. He entered the series 1 round late, so he's had a bit of catching up to do, but he has become the fiercest rival to Daniel Freer, number 66. And then there's also a battle within the battle, the Superstock 600 Championship still to win. And that is getting really, really tasty between Sam Thompson, number 50, and Sam Cox, number 54, and with an outside chance of winning, number 4, James Shaw, out there on the Kawasaki. But we'll try and keep you up to date with that. Jamie Harris, in the meantime, is your race leader. Jamie, you may remember from Thundersport GP3, our 125 GP class from a few years back. Riders, as I mentioned before, oh blimey, there's all sorts going on in the background there into Rocket. We've got a couple of riders down. So easy to do. Down into Rocket, and that's James Shaw on the right. It is. James Shaw, number 4, has gone down, and is that Curtis Wright that's gone down with him? So immediately, 2 key riders down and out of this race. Well, I'll go back to Jamie Harris. As I mentioned before, he's entered the Thundersport Championship previously. He's been doing a few British Championship rounds here and there, but this weekend he's looked electric on this 600 of his. He's already smashed the lap record to smithereens, and he's looking in fine shape. He is, of course, on a super stock 600 bike, and well, I was speaking to him before this race, and he was telling me that literally this engine has come straight out of someone's road bike that they've borrowed, because the funding has been such a struggle for them, but he's got the whole family here supporting him, and he's looking really good. Mark Cronshaw, well, we've seen Mark about before. Mark, of course, from Rosendale on the Keith Dixon Motorcycles Yamaha. Mark, certainly the last time I saw him, I think he was actually on the deck over at Snetterton, and that's Richie McNeil running wide at Rocket. One of the championship protagonists has happened again. I mean, it's a good job there is some tarmac runoff up there, because otherwise McNeil could have been down and out. He filters back in just behind. That's Sam Cox, orange and white leathers there, number 54. As you can see, we've still got major problems with the sea mist. I can tell you that from the rider's perspective, they can see clearly, they can see each apex, they can see the marshal's flags more importantly, but it's just that obviously we are an island right next to the sea. You'll be able to see from a few shots the sea in the background, hopefully a bit later on when the sun pokes his head out. So we are safe to ride, but it is pretty strong mist out there, so it's not your TV sets, don't worry about it. You haven't got to go down to Dixon's and get yourself a new one. There is Richie McNeil though, number 22, just behind Sam Cox, number 54. And I mentioned just a moment ago, Sam Cox and Sam Thompson so close in the championship. They've been battling each other every single round. And there's about 11, 12 points between them. And so it's looking like that one's going all the way down to the wire. And we'll go to not just Mallory Park our next round, but also to Donington and Richie McNeil there, trying to get underneath Sam Cox. And I'll tell you why he's desperate to get past Sam. It's because he knows that his championship rival, Daniel Freer, is a few places ahead of him on circuit. And at the moment, they are trying to chase Jamie Harris, who's trying to run away with this at the front, number 196 there. Just behind him, though, Mark Cronshaw. Yeah, I mentioned about Mark a moment ago. He has raced with Thundersport in the past. He had a really bad crash with Thundersport at Snetterton a few years ago, but it's nice to see him back here. He's obviously a big fan of the place because he is flying. He's doing 109.2, which I can tell you wouldn't actually put him too far down the order in the GP1 race that we've just seen. Mark is, however, on a Formula 600, slightly more tuned than Jamie's that's just ahead of him on circuit, number 196, but fair to say that Jamie knows this circuit better than he knows his own bedroom. He has done so many laps around here. Nevertheless, he has put in his best ever lap here. So it just goes to show you that the competition he's facing has pushed him onto a new level. Daniel Frew at the moment will be quite comfortable in third place. He doesn't have to do anything too mad. As we see there, that's Steve Kaplan who's just pulling out of the race, number 99. Shame to see there from Steve, one of our Royal Air Force Motorsport Association riders. He's gone out of the race. Further back, Sam Cox at the moment still embroiled in a battle between with him and Sam Thompson. There's a few riders there to keep your eyes out for. I can see the that is 69 Ryan Dixon having a battle with Chris Headywell and the lights. Chris is easy to point out, the black and bright yellow. There is Dixon, cousin of Jake Dixon, currently racing in the British Supersport Championship at BSB. So it obviously runs in the family, although Ryan has spent most of his young career at Supermoto level. So this is his, I think it's his second season in road racing. Another rider that I noticed that is out to play with us this weekend is number 77, Stuart Haslam. There he is, in fact, just ahead of Chris Helliwell. He is one of the Haslams. He is related to Leon. But he got himself in a big accident at Cadwell Park with us earlier in the season, and this is his first round back since. So it really was a nasty accident. That happened on the exit of Charlie's, leading onto the back straight. It was a huge crash. But it's nice to see Stuart is back with us. But this battle here, there's Richie Connell just going through. I see there Jones also. Lewis Osler is up in the top 10. In fact, Adam Clark and Lewis Osler and Joe Barton, three riders that you may remember from Thundersport 500s, currently 7th, 8th and 9th, doing really, really well for themselves. We've got Stano out there as well, Dan Stanton, who's changed bikes for this weekend. And I think he's got himself a new sponsor for the weekend as well. A rider from Mould, I think it's Bike Devils, so he'll be looking to try and pick up some decent results here this weekend at Anglesey, and then moving on to, of course, Mallory and Donington Park. But it is Harrison Cronshaw fighting it out for the lead at the moment. They don't feature in the championship, so Freer in third will be quite content with the way things are going at the moment. That is Matthew Jones from Colwyn Bay on the Fireball Racing Kawasaki, so another rider who's racing on home turf this weekend. There's Richie Connell out there on the Yamaha, a rider from Cheltenham. Nick Clift also out on circuit fighting away. There he is, number 32, blue and white. I've not yet had the chance to ask him whether the blue and white is because he's a Tottenham fan or whether it's just that it just so happens that that's the situation. But Nick Cliff there out on the JDR Performance Suzuki. Caught up with him and his dad Joe this weekend. Another rider that went through the ranks at Super Teen level, Thundersport 500s, but I tell you what, he's one of the tallest riders in the paddock, so he's finally found a machine that suits him. This is such a competitive class, and at the moment he's doing very, very well. Let's have a look and see where he is in terms of the Superstock standings. He's up inside the top 10 overall, and in the championship that'll do him a few favours, because at the moment he's just outside the top 10. But Sam Cox and Sam Thompson, who are fighting for that championship, as it stands at the moment, Cox has just got his nose in front of Thompson. So Thompson, who is the championship leader, of course won the opening round at Brands Hatch, doing very, very well. Caught up with Sam Thompson's parents, actually, in the paddock. And I noticed that Sam's dad is sporting a rather unusual beard. And he's promised me that he's going to continue to grow it until the next time he sees me. So that is going to get wild and well out of shape by the time we get to Mallory Park, I'd imagine. Let's see there Jamie Edwards just going through picture. He's just behind Dave Twyford and just outside the points overall at the moment. As I mentioned before, 3 championships in one effectively. You've got the Formula 600 Championship, the Superstock 600 Championship, and then the Sportsman Elite overall. Now the Sportsman Elite is really the key one. That's the one you want. Danny Murphy, as I mentioned earlier on in the GP1 race, he won the pair of them last year. He won the Super Stock class and the Elite overall. It doesn't look like there's any chance of that happening this year, because Daniel Freer at the moment is well in charge and is in a position where if he continues to go like this, he could win the championship at Mallory Park the next time out. There's Paul Charman, number 9, just going through. Rider from Accrington. And he's just up ahead of Danny Osborne from Bourne on the plough-in Horbling Honda. But that Sea Mist clinging on for quite a while. There's this massive battle going on. This is from about 9th place onwards. Chris Helliwell there just getting himself up and ahead of Nick Clift and Dixon, Richie Connell and Matthew Jones, all fighting for the points. Chris Helliwell came into this weekend 4th overall in the Superstock 600 Championship. He can close in on James Shaw for 3rd overall, and he will have been, well, I wouldn't say that he'll be delighted to see that James Shaw is out of the race, but he'll have certainly had a little smirk to himself when he saw that James, who's currently 3rd in the championship, did go down there, because it is a great opportunity now for him just to close up that little bit more. Seen much of the race leaders just yet, but I can tell you that it's getting pretty close between Mark Cronshaw and Jamie Harris out front. Jamie doing everything he can to hold on to the lead on that Superstock bike. Daniel Freer, meanwhile, having a bit of a lonely race. He's in 3rd. Richie McNeil has got himself ahead of Sam Cox now, but he's got a lot of work to do if he wants to close in on Freer, because he's a good 3 or 4 seconds behind him at the moment. Lap records, forget about it. They've been completely ripped apart this weekend here. And even you would, I mean, believe it or not, this Sea Mist really is, it is producing a bit of moisture on circuit, but not enough for it to concern any of them, because they are lapping at quite a pace out there. Race leader at the moment, Jamie Harris, is posted a time that is, well, 0.8 of a second quicker than the previous lap record that was held, I will just give him a shout out, he might be watching, by Dan Miles, previous Superstock 600 champion, but that was set quite a few years ago, let me tell you. Dan Miles, who I don't believe races at the moment due to funding. He's probably a bit frustrated that Dan is known more now for the fact that his sister is Cheska Miles, of course, the female stunt bike rider. But it'd be nice to see Dan make an appearance back into this championship at some point. They were a right bunch of characters, they were in the paddock. But yeah, his lap record finally has disappeared, as we still see a battle there. Number 97, Richie Connell, he's up ahead of Matthew Jones. These are the battles for the final points overall. All of these riders there are all on super stock bikes, including Nick Cliff, number 32. But Freer and McNeil, the 2 championship rivals in the Formula 600 class and in the Sportsman Elite overall, currently 3rd and 4th. It doesn't look like they're going to catch the race leaders, Cronshaw and Harris. Riders just coming up now towards Peel Corner, and then they will drop down the hill and they'll be able to see this fabulous view of the sea, although their eyes should be probably fixated on this left right here at the corkscrew. There you can see the paddock on the left. This is pit lane just on the left there. Bit of an awkward pit lane entry, that. Got to be a bit careful if you're going to dart in there, but then club corner, a left-hander, tricky one to navigate onto probably the shortest start-finish straight in Great Britain. Then around target and up towards banking here, this right-hander. There is Nick Clift again. Just up ahead of Nick at the moment. We've got that battle for 7th, 8th and 9th still going on between Joe Barton, Adam Clark and Lewis Osler. And then just ahead of those guys in 5th and 6th, Sam Cox and Sam Thompson, the Superstock 600 championship rivals at the moment. Cox is going to pull in a little bit closer to Thompson overall in the championship. Richie McNeil's in a lonely 4th place. Daniel Freer's in a lonely 3rd. That sounded like oh yes, that did sound like someone had gone down, and they have there. And so we've lost a rider. Not quite sure who that was. That looks, well, whoever it is a bit winded, and he's down there, made a bit of a mess of the bike, but back with the leaders here. Great fight going on between Cronshaw and Harris now for the overall victory. Either way, they will win separate classes. Cronshaw the Formula 600 and Harris the Superstock, but they want overall glory, don't they? And it's Cronshaw that's using every single brake horsepower extra that he has to his advantage, trying to hold on for victory here. Number 81, it looks like he might have pounced at just about the right time as they go onto the start-finish straight, and that is it. It's a wonderful win for Mark Cronshaw, and in that final lap, a 108.970. A great lap time there from Cronshaw to clinch the overall win. Jamie Harris there in 2nd. He still takes a Superstock 600 glory, but decent result nonetheless. Daniel Freer has gone across the line to take 3rd, so he will extend his championship lead, albeit just by a couple of points, because Richie McNeil was in 4th place, having gone straight on earlier on, and that's Dan Stanton, I think, who's not finished the race and is sitting down, clearly unhappy with himself. Not sure what happened there, but Stano is down somewhere. Confirmation then, Cronshaw wins from Harris, Freer and McNeil. Cox nabs a couple of points off Sam Thompson. That gets even closer, that fight for the Superstock 600 Championship. Joe Barton, Adam Clark and Lewis Osler do come home in 7th, 8th and 9th. That's a great result for those three. And Danny Osborne in 10th. Catch up with the Welshman himself then, Jamie Harris.
Superstock 600 winner, Jamie. A really good race for you there. I did feel gutted for you a bit because you were leading the race for the majority of it, but tell us about what happened when you got 2nd.
Just going on to the outer church, it was on the last lap when a back marker high-sided in front of us, so I had to roll off a bit. Just let Mark get the run on me down the street, so yeah, a bit gutted, but happy to win my class.
Yeah. Well, try again in the next race because it was very close between you. Any sponsors you'd like to thank?
I'd like to thank Phil Morris Racing, Morris Lubricants, OBR Race Paints, and my mum and dad and family for supporting me on.
Well, he did win it on the final lap. Let's catch up with him then, Mark Cronshaw.
Mark, winner of the Formula 600s. Again, like I just said to Jamie, it was such a close race between you. It was catching all the way. You had the fastest lap of the race, so you could tell you were pulling on him. So tell us about when you just got him.
Yeah, just my game plan, just hang on to him for the race, and then I always planned on making me move on last lap, but unfortunately for the guy who crashed, it made Jamie sit up a little bit, which allowed me to have the run down the straight and take the win, so I'm happy with that.
A good win. Any sponsors you'd like to thank?
I'd like to thank Keith Dixon Motorcycles, helped me a lot over the years. My dad puts a lot in, my mechanic Guy Pickles as well, and I'd like to say, sorry, Gemma and Callum couldn't be here this weekend.
Well, that's it from the first 2 races. Still 2 more to come though, so join us again in a few minutes after this quick break. Welcome back to North Wales in Anglesey for Thundersport Elite, the bike insurer Thundersport GP1 on class. And look, it's like a different place, isn't it? The mist has gone and the sun is out. Beautiful scenes here as we just saw Jess Traylor there, 4th on the grid. Danny Murphy, Superstock 1000 leader, 3rd on the grid. There's Jonathan Lodge, who will be looking to close up on John Ingram. He wasn't quite able to catch John, and John mentioned in his interview after winning that last race, taking the lap record and the championship lead, that he was looking to gap the rest of the field in the early laps and then hold on to it again. Further back, I see that it's a terrible start for Phil Crow, who desperately needs to try and close down on John Ingram, more for damage limitation than anything else, so that he can enter Mallory Park our next round with a chance of getting him in the championship. But Ingram once again gets the whole shot ahead of Jonathan Lodge. Lodge does look a bit closer this time. And once more, it's Danny Murphy 3rd, Jess Traylor 4th, Peter Baker, the reigning champion, in 5th place. And then I think it's Watson that's got himself off to a brilliant start there, as well as John Robb. So decent start for a few of these riders. A bit of fighting and jostling going on into Rocket. That does happen, and Danny Murphy really lost out there. Jess Traylor managed to get past him, and Peter Baker as well. So a couple of places lost there for him. Barry Teasdale, of course, he went down in race 1, number 224. Keep an eye out for him. He will be looking to get himself on the Superstock 1000 podium. But there, Peter Baker, a decent start for Pete, and he's looking to now close the gap up to the leaders. They'll have a job on though, because Lodgy and Ingram out front have been so quick here this weekend. Jonathan Lodge, well, he'll be quite happy that the sun has come out. Track temperature's now a bit warmer as well, so expect to see the lap records going. So we see that battle there for 3rd, continuing. Jess Traylor at the moment has the advantage. And Jess, you will actually see from his bike, has actually got the same sponsor as Pete Baker. Pete Baker's sponsor, Morello Services, also sponsor Jess Traylor at British Championship level. So Pete will be eager to get himself and that Kawasaki of his ahead of Jess, even if Jess isn't featuring in the championship. Jonathan Lodge has got himself ahead of John Ingram. Well, things you never thought you'd hear in this race here in GP1. Ingram has got a fight on his hands now. In terms of the championship, of course, he could probably let Jonathan Lodge go away and win this one, and it won't really affect him, but that's not the way John will see this. He sees anyone as a target, and Jonathan Lodge has looked mustard here this weekend on that Kawasaki stock bike it is. They make their way onto the start-finish straight. Really quick lap times already. They're both down into the 108s. I mentioned before the lap record was a 108.9. Well, I've got to say that these two guys, if they keep on like this, they're actually probably likely to get down into the 107s. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Well, once again on the opening lap, we lost Chris Barnes. I'm not sure if he's had a mechanical or if he's gone. Oh my word, John Ingram! That's about as much dirt as you want to take up there. He's lucky to stay on the machine, but he's kicked up a lot of dirt, and he's lost, what, 2 or 3 tenths as a result of that. But Ingram really playing with the grass there on the outside of Church Corner. That could be really nasty, but he stays on the machine. He's got to regain his focus. Unusual to see mistakes coming from John Ingram, maybe feeling the pressure here a little bit from Jonathan Lodge, his younger race rival. Of course, Jonathan's brother James competes in the Super Stock 600 class at British Championship level, and he's not here this weekend. He was racing over at Cadwell BSB, and Ingram there maintained 2nd place. There's still Traylor in 3rd, Baker 4th, Danny Murphy in 5th place. Got Phil Crow struggling at the moment, trying to get past Barry Teasdale, which I understand he has done, but then he's now got a situation where he is just a couple of seconds behind Danny Murphy as he tries to close that gap. Angelo De Rosa and Neil Watson still in the frame inside the top 10. Carl Simpson's having a good run out, number 16. Up in the top 10, Fisher, Walls, Watling, Critchlow, Hill, Connell, Lennon, O'Grady. There is number 123, Danny Murphy, just fighting it out there with John Robb, number 111. John Robb from Stockport on the on-track EMTT Suzuki. Not seen much of John racing with us, but he's certainly proving to be a tasty customer here, although Danny Murphy just pushes him out wide there into the corkscrew and regains position. This is the battle for 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th, so really good effort and good start from John Robb, who started this race from 8th on the grid. But it's just looking at the lap times there, and Jonathan Lodge, that's a 107.895. No, sorry, it's John Ingram with a 107.895. Wow, that's not only the GP1 lap record for Thundersport, but I'm going to have to check my records. Yeah, it is. It is the fastest ever outright lap record at Anglesey. It's gone. The fastest ever man around Anglesey, John Ingram. That's on 2 wheels, I should just add. But wow, there you go. Well, Ingram then showing that he means business here. The championship leader overall, trying to close down on Jonathan Lodge out front. At the moment, if he stays in 2nd place and Phil Crowe stays in 6th, then he'll extend his lead by another 10. So he will get himself a 20-point lead, something like that, heading into Mallory Park. There is Phil Crowe just up ahead of Barry Teasdale, who's staying on the saddle this time. There's Danny Murphy once more, 1, 2, 3, the rider from Rochdale. Started out as a super team with us, did Danny Murphy in 2008. Then in, I think it was actually 2009 he started with us. In 2010 he was in the Aprilia 450 Championship. And he was battling for that title, but in the end that went to Ben Gautry, who sadly lost his life a couple of years ago at Cadwell. And Danny then moved up into British Superstock 600s and didn't really work out for him. He had a couple of promising results here and there, just didn't quite happen for him. And he made the decision that not many riders have the insight to do, and that was to actually take a step backwards, come back into Thundersport, get some track time on a 600. Then he won last year's 600 championship. This year he's moved on to that Superstock 1000 machine and he's leading that championship as well. But you're looking there at Jess Traylor, currently 3rd in this race. Jess is lapping in the low 109s, but it's not enough to keep up with those guys out front, not when they're setting lap records and outright lap records. And it's still Lodge that leads from Ingram, despite the fact that Ingram's posted that monumental lap. He cannot get the better of Jonathan Lodge. And Jonathan Lodge himself has done a 108.1, so these are really quick lap times that we're seeing here from these guys. And in particular, you have to be impressed with Lodgy, because that is a standard bike that he's on there. As they come around Rocket, there is Lodge leading from John Ingram. Ingram will be desperate to get 25 points. It really will help him overall. Of course, it's worth remembering that despite the fact that you see, of course, the 3 GP1 riders on the podium and the 3 Superstock 1000 riders on the podium, the points are in order as to where they finish. So John Ingram would only receive 20 GP1 points here, despite the fact that he would be the man on the top step in the GP1 class. So at the moment, it's just 20 points for Ingram, and Jonathan Lodge is going to be the winner. But you can see here that Ingram may be just lining up sort of a decent line out of the banking and up towards Church, going to try and use the power of that Suzuki to get himself out front. Here he comes through Church here, hellishly quick right-hander this. Not a place you want to be coming off, and this is where John Ingram kicked up the dirt earlier on, and then flat out through the gears, on your knee, up the hill, ready for Rocket. There's Angelo De Rosa further back, just behind... I'm not sure who that was actually. Was that Mark Hodson, someone like that he's behind as they're just coming around and into, sorry, no, completely wrong. It's Carl Simpson out there on the BMW that he's coming up behind. Angelo. He's got company as well, because John Fisher is joining him. John, who had a massive crash at Thundersport GB a few years ago and is back this year. Nice to see him, and Angelo's already gone past him. Yeah, it is Carl Simpson there on the BMW. Same colour scheme as Phil Crowe's bike, so I just wonder if that's Phil Crowe's spare bike. As they go around Peel down in towards the corkscrew. It's the fight for 9th, 10th and 11th place overall. I understand Brian Campbell's gone AWOL, number 69, and Richie Connell also. Richie Connell, who would have been just trying to get some laps in, ready for his 600 race. Of course, we'll bring you that final 600 race after the break when this race is finished. At the moment, it's still Jonathan Lodge that has the lead ahead of John Ingram. Those two fighting it out for glory. It's then some 7, 8, 9 seconds. The gap back to Jess Traylor, who's still got Peter Baker to deal with, who's in 4th place, Danny Murphy 5th, Phil Crow is still ahead of Barry Teasdale, 6th and 7th. Phil, who is desperate, and there's a rider down, and that's John Robb. He's gone down, and that's such a shame. He had such a great start to this race. He was fighting with some of the front guys, and you can see there, he knew that he had a chance of a decent result here. And, well, now he knows that he's all right. It's a good chance just to make sure the ignition's off the bike and he wanders off. This is the fight for the overall win, though. Jonathan Lodge doing his best to fend off John Ingram. A bit of a rear end wobble coming out of the banking there. Ingram really is pushing it. Well, I mean, that speaks for itself, really. The fact that they've just broken the outright lap record of Anglesey should tell you just how far they're pushing this. And as they come up the hill, it is one of those circuits where even if you've got the more powerful machine, it's not necessarily an advantage, because this isn't a massive long straight. It's hard to get tucked up in slipstream. And at the moment, Lodge is flying through these twisty bits. John Ingram is trying to find a way past. It looks like Ingram might just be closing in a bit in the apex of the corners, but then he's got this Kawasaki right in his way, so he can't get round it. They come through the corkscrew, and John's just trying all sorts of different lines, trying to give himself the best possible angle, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen here. And as they come across the start-finish line and down into turn 1, it's still Lodge from Ingram, but Ingram here charging up towards banking, but he's on the wrong side. And Lodge takes the defensive line and it works, but Ingram here is running out of patience. He's not got long to go here. He's got to pull the pin soon. If he's going to play his card, it's got to be now. He gets right onto the back wheel of Lodge, and now he's got to get the power on the back straight here. He's got to try and somehow get into the slipstream, try and make a move, but Lodge is going to fend that place off into Rocket. It's not going to happen there. Lodge really late on the brakes, and John Ingram's running out of places to do this now. There's a possibility he might be able to do it into the corkscrew. He can't do it into Peel. It's not a place you can overtake. But on the run down to the corkscrew, he can do it there. But he's got to be closer than he is here, and he's not close enough. He's not close enough, and Lodge it is that still leads through the corkscrew. I have seen moves done into the last corner at Club, but you have got to be big, brave, bold, and it's not happening for John Ingram. And as they come up onto the start-finish straight, down into turn 1, Jonathan Lodge has seen the last lap flag. He's only got to fend him off one more time now. They go down into the banking. John Ingram, he will try and get as close to the back of Jonathan Lodge as he can. He's pushing the bike, it's chattering at the front end. He can't keep up with him, and maybe his tyres are just starting to drop off. We've had 12 laps of this. Onto the back straight again we go. He's not close enough, I don't think, to make a move up into Rocket, but he's going to have a go anyway. Jonathan Lodge is last of the late breakers, and it's still Lodgey that has it. And Ingram here really has just got one last place to do this. If he doesn't do it into the corkscrew, I think that's going to be it. Jonathan Lodge here, trying to power his super stock Kawasaki home to a win. Down into the corkscrew, and it looks like he's done enough. Ingram here has been frustrated, he's been quick, he's got the new outright lap record, but it's not enough to win the race. And around Club Corner, Jonathan Lodge will be delighted with that. He takes the win here in race 2. Good race that. There he is, checkered flag out. Jonathan Lodge wins it ahead of John Ingram. Ingram will extend his championship lead that he's gained this weekend. Jess Traylor, well, we've had to wait a few seconds for him, but he has got across the line in third. Peter Baker, not quite on the podium. You'll see him on the GP1 podium, but he's 4th overall ahead of Danny Murphy, who will extend his Superstock 1000 championship lead in 5th place there. Phil Crow has had a frustrating weekend there. 6th place for Phil. He's going to have to improve at Mallory Park, otherwise this championship he will have to kiss goodbye to. Barry Teasdale 7th ahead of Neil Watson. Angelo De Rosa there in 9th place, and then Carl Simpson 10th. There's the points, as I said, 20 points between Ingram and Crow. Don't count out Danny Murphy just yet either. This one's going all the way in the Bike Insurer Thundersport GP1 class. Let's have a look at them on the podium then. And first up, let's have a word with GP1 winner John Ingram.
GP1 winner John Ingram, a good race. You just got beat to the line there. It was very close between you two, but still, you've had such a good weekend with your lap records, and you're now leading the championship going into Mallory.
Yeah, I mean, that was a cracking race. It was nice actually to have a race with someone. When he came past me, it was unfamiliar, to be honest. I missed a few apexes because I couldn't see because of him, and I've not been used to that round here. So I just had to regroup a bit. I lost maybe a second on him, and that's where the lap record would have come from, because I would have had to have dug deep for it. But you know, it's a second place, but a good race, and that's probably the best race of the weekend, and it wasn't a win, so that says a lot about the sport. I'd just like to thank young Josh and Sean. They're helping me with the bike this weekend. And just going back to the race, it was just nice to have a look at Jonathan before the last race, which is the money race. So at least I know, where he's stronger than me and where I'm stronger than him, so I can come up with another game plan, a plan B, shall we call it. But yeah, thanks Dennis and Fred. Families here this weekend, we're all enjoying it, and Thundersport's a great paddock to be in.
Well done to you then. Let's catch up with the overall winner then. Great one from Lodgy.
Jonathan Lodge, super stock winner, but a close battle there with John Ingram. You just managed to get him. Tell us about that race. It was so close between you.
Yeah, it was good. I got a fairly good start, and I just got my head down. I caught him past him into the banking over there, and I just tried to get my head down, put consistent times in, and just try not to make any mistakes. Let him on, because it's quite a difficult place to pass here. So just got my head down and just pinned it to the line, really. But no, it was a really good race. I enjoyed it. So yeah, brilliant.
Good results for you this weekend. Any sponsors to thank?
As usual, all lads at Earnshaw's Motorcycles, Sean at Motor Breakers, Statics View, and Diesel Lift.
Well, one race still to come. Join us again after the break for race 2 in the Van Insurer 600 Sportsman Elites. Welcome back to the final part here of Thundersport Elite. We're ready to go racing here with the Van Insurer 600 Sportsman Elite. And it's a good start from poleman Jamie Harris there. He does get the whole shot down into turn 1. Ahead of that looks like Daniel Freer, who's got away really well there, number 66, down into the hairpin. Curtis right there in third. That's James Shaw, who's hanging it all the way around the outside on the Kawasaki in fourth. And so decent starts there. Both Curtis Wright and James Shaw, of course, fell in race 1, so they're going to want to make up for that. Keep an eye out for Jamie Harris, though, who won that race. Funnily enough, no sign of Mark Cronshaw. Race 1 winner, didn't line up on the grid. Not sure what's happening there, but Jamie Harris will be thanking the lucky stars, although he was looking very quick in race 1, but he hasn't got Cronshaw to play with this time. Daniel Freer in second there, championship leader overall of the Formula 600s and the Sportsman Elite 600s. And then in third place, Curtis Wright. Curtis Wright loves Anglesey. Despite the fact that he crashed in race 1, he's had some super results at Thundersport GB here in North Wales in the past. And just one of those circuits that seems to suit him. It's not because he lives nearby or he's a circuit specialist. He lives in Stony Stanton. But it's just a place that has always worked out well for him, as we see a bit further back there. Number 111, Matthew Waldron on the Triumph. He's a Formula 600 rider. So McNeil and Freer perhaps in the right places that they need to be. McNeil, if he's to have any chance of winning this championship, not only is he going to have to finish ahead of Daniel Freer, but he's going to have to actually hope that other results go his way in terms of Mallory and Donington, because Daniel Freer would have to probably not finish a couple of those in order for McNeil to have any chance at all of winning this. There is Daniel Freer, number 66, the blue and yellow leathers there. And McNeil's just a couple of places back with the bike that was slightly snaking into Rocket. There's Freer, 66, 74 behind him is Wright. Then the Kawasaki of James Shaw, rider with the white spike leathers. Decent start also for Sam Thompson. We saw Dan Stanton sitting on his backside with his head in his hands at the end of the last race. Well, he's got off to a decent start as well, considering he's changed machinery this weekend from the Yamaha down into Club Corner here. These guys really are putting on a good bit of entertainment for us. This is the fight for second place. Already Jamie Harris is pulling the pin. There you see him out front going up towards the banking already. He's lapping in the mid to low 109s. There's Sam Thompson, number 50, who leads the Superstock 600 Championship just. But he's going to have to hope that Sam Cox maybe doesn't finish or finishes behind him so that he can extend his championship lead. There's Daniel Freer. Daniel, who's also been racing and competing in the 650 Open Championship with Thundersport, and is second in that championship behind David Allingham. You'll be able to see that on Thundersport Plus here on Motors TV. But Freer's just lost out on a couple of places there. And as they tip into Peel, he will probably be more concerned about the fact that one of them is Richie McNeil, because Richie is the man that looks like he's going to be fighting Daniel Freer for the championship. It's such a shame for Richie. He didn't turn up at the opening round at Brands Hatch, so he didn't pick up any points there. And then at Donington, he dumped it big style on the opening qualifying lap. Didn't score a single point that weekend because the bike was absolutely mullered, and of course they had to travel all the way from Northern Ireland. So his 2 full rounds with 150 points on offer that he was unable to collect anything. And, well, guess what? He came into the weekend 100 points behind Daniel Freer. I'm not necessarily saying that had he have scored points in both of those rounds, that he would be leading, but he'd definitely be closer to Daniel Freer, and the job would be a bit easier than it is at the moment for him. He's going to have to rely on other results. At the moment, though, in this race, there's no taking anything away from Jamie Harris here, number 196, looking really, really good. All of the thousands and thousands of laps that he's no doubt done around Anglesey coming together here. He's not being pushed quite as hard in this race as he was in race 1, of course. That fight with him and Mark Cronshaw that went all the way to the line. So the only battle we've got on circuit at the moment is the one between second place man Richie McNeil, Curtis Wright, Daniel Freer, etc. We'll have to wait and see what happens, but at the moment Harris here, number 196 from Ticros, which is the exact location which we're in actually, so you could probably throw a stone into his back garden. Jamie Harris here with the whole family, and there's a lot of them, I've got to say. I went past the paddock awning and there's a good 20 or so people in there, and so I do believe Jamie and his good lady Heidi are expecting, so congratulations. And yeah, looks like Jamie's going to become a father, and that might just empty the bank balance if he wants to continue racing. But at the moment, he's on for a decent result here. Jamie's also, I should just remind you, competing in the Demon Twig Super Prix of Wales. It's a cash prize up for grabs there, and Jamie will be up against GP1 1000cc bikes, but there's cash prizes all the way down to something like 12th, I believe. 1,500 quid to the winner. I think it's 750 for second, 500 for third, then 4, 3, 2. So every place counts, and Jamie will be racing in that. So you never know, if he has a good result, he might be able to buy a nice cot for the baby. We'll have to wait and see, but tune into that. Be in a couple of weeks, I think, or maybe even next week. Some point anyway on Motors TV. That'll be on Thundersport Plus, and I'll talk you through that one. Jamie Harris on a Superstock 600 bike, remember. He'll be up against the likes of John Ingram. And again, there's trouble for Steve Kaplan, I think, there. Yep, he's out of this one. And I've noticed from the time screens, we lost Chris Helliwell somewhere down at the corkscrew. So Chris Helliwell's out of this one as well. So the points he made up on James Shaw in race 1 have gone to pot because he's lost out in this one. There's David Brooke. David out on circuit, up inside the top 10, a rider that's improving at every round and certainly benefiting from the fact that he's in the pre-national championship this year. He's having a decent battle there with Matthew Waldron on the Triumph. There's a quick glimpse there, I think, of Adam Clark in 12th place. but back to the leader, Harris. It's still McNeil in second, Curtis Wright third, Daniel Freer fourth. James Shaw is keeping Daniel Freer very honest indeed on the Kawasaki, and he's at the moment going to take the final spot in the Superstock podium race. Just see him in the background there. There's Curtis Wright chasing after Richie McNeil. Then it's Daniel Freer and James Shaw. Then there's about a 4-second gap back, and I hope we do get to see a glimpse of these two guys fighting it out. The battle for 6th and 7th between, guess who? Sam Cox and Sam Thompson. They went across the line last time around with pretty much identical lap times. They cannot be split in the championship. They cannot be split here at Anglesey either, and that is genuinely going to be one of those championships that will probably go down to the final race of the season, just like we saw in this same championship a couple of years ago between Nick Anderson and Tommy Mountain. That one went down to the final race of the year, and I suspect that it's going to do the same here between Cox and Thompson, and that does just highlight the importance of finishing races as well here, because Thompson and Cox have not been separated by any more than 20 points for a good few rounds now. A DNF would be costly. There's Lewis Osler, number 82. Lewis out there from Wakefield on the Kawasaki, having a good battle out there on circuit with the likes of Matthew Jones and Richie Connell. Here they are into the banking, and there is Matthew Jones, number 92, the Welshman, just up ahead of Osler. Lovely family, the Oslers. Always a big crowd of them. It's always someone's birthday as well. Whenever I walk past pit lane, there's always balloons and things going on. There's so many of them, and I'm not surprised. There's probably 365 of them, hence why there's a birthday every time I walk past there. But no, great to have them out there. And Lewis Osler has improved round by round, and it's great to see. And I think that next year, you know, you could well see someone like Osler fighting away for a championship of some sort. There's Daniel Freer though, and it's his year at the moment. It's his championship, it's his to lose. There's the battle between the Superstock 600s, that's the one I wanted to see. Number 50, Sam Thompson, ahead of 54, Sam Cox at the moment. And, well, that would probably stretch the gap to, oh gosh, let's get the maths out. I would imagine about 11 or 12 points in favour of Sam Thompson over Sam Cox. But, of course, if Cox gets ahead of Thompson, it'd probably be down to something like 9. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But you can see the lap time's absolutely identical. There's Richie McNeil and Curtis Wright. Richie McNeil desperate to finish ahead of Curtis Wright. So important in terms of the championship for him to get as many bikes in between him and Daniel Freer as possible. There's no catching this guy, the Welshman, Jamie Harris. He's away with it. And he is going to take a well-earned victory here and please all of his, I would say, travelling fans and family, but they've not had far to travel. A short walk down to Anglesey Circuit to cheer on Jamie as he tips through the corkscrew. One of the finest riders through this final turn here at Club Corner. Carries a lot more speed than I've seen many other riders carrying. And there he goes through and into the banking, or round target should I say, and then into the banking. Apparently, from what I gather, the reason for some of the names of these corners here, Rocket, which Jamie will be approaching very shortly, Rocket in and Rocket out, is where they used to launch rockets from, and Target is where they landed. Obviously not very successful rockets if all they manage to do is travel from Rocket to Target, because it's not very far. But apparently that is the reasoning behind the names of the corners here at Anglesey, or certainly for a couple of them. I mentioned Peel already, which is in memory of the famous John Peel. Here they come through Rocket. There's McNeil still ahead of Curtis Wright. Richie McNeil, number 22, always got a smile on his face in the paddock. Richie from Bangor in Northern Ireland on the Suzuki. Had a chance at winning this championship a few years ago and only lost out to Ben Field, who at the time are Pocket Rocket, who's gone on to race in British Championship, currently competing in the Ducati 848 Challenge this year. And last lap flag is out then, so Jamie Harris has got a comfortable advantage here. He could probably afford to just pop home, get the kettle on, get back out on the bike, finish the race and become the winner. Harris here, the home turf winner. Richie McNeil going to do everything he can now to hold on to second place and collect a crucial 20 points. He's ahead of Curtis Wright at the moment. Let's have a look back. There he is, number 22, ahead of Curtis Wright. Wright, you can see, though, trying to get on terms with that bike. Richie McNeil's got a Formula 600 bike, slightly more tuned than Curtis Wright, but you can't really use all of that power around something like this. And Daniel Freer, at the moment, he is just ahead of James Shaw overall, and Sam Cox apparently has got his nose ahead of Sam Thompson for the Superstock 600 battle, so that continues. That's for the championship. The Superstock 600 win is going to this man. Through the corkscrew for the final time, around Club Corner. His family are all on the edge of pit wall here. They will be cheering, and onto the start finish straight we go, and a win for Jamie Harris here at home. There's the checker flag being waved by Dave, and that's it then. Jamie Harris the winner, number 196, as easy as that. Richie McNeil, thumbs up from the Irishman. He finishes in second. Curtis Wright third. So we've got a Welshman, an Irishman, and an Englishman in the top three. There's a joke there somewhere. I won't call it. Daniel Freer fourth, Shaw fifth, Cox sixth, ahead of Sam Thompson. That will be crucial in the championship. Joe Barton eighth, Dan Stanton in ninth, and David Brooke finishing in 10th place. Championship, this is overall the Sportsman Elite. 339 for Freer. He can win this title at Mallory Park at the next round. Sam Thompson in third, ahead of Sam Cox, but they have got their own championship going on. And Lee Williams there in 5th place. There's 9 points between Thompson and Cox. Let's catch up with Formula 600 winner then, Richie McNeil. He finished second overall.
Rich McNeil, good race for you there, a trophy in your hands. It was a close battle though up at the front.
Yeah, Jamie Harris won the race. It was quite good battle. In the last race, I found it quite hard to get up towards the front. I had a few suspension issues, so put a new set of tyres on, and we got suspension sorted as well. So I got up to the front as quick as I could, and it was a really enjoyable race. But Curtis Wright, I seen him on my tail getting into turn 2, and I knew, right, keep him off, and I knew in the last lap, when the last lap flag came out, that he was going to have a go at me, and I defended it. So yeah, I win the Sportsman Elite, but second overall, still happy.
A good result. Any sponsors to thank?
Yeah, most of all, I'd like to thank my dad and Derek Young for doing the engine. Alan Finlay, RJ's car restoration, is a brilliant paint job, and Alan Finlay, fair play to him. Everybody compliments on the paint job on my bike. Motortech Toyota in Bangor, and Dialovan Removals, Davies, and all my other sponsors. Thanks very much.
Let's catch up with the winner overall here on home turf. A very happy, smiley face, Jamie Harris.
Jamie Harris, winner of the race overall, and a double win for you this weekend. You must be pleased with those results, because it was a tough race out there.
Yeah, it was really tough. It's like they were a bit closer that last race, so I had to really push hard to keep them off me. It was a tough one.
Any sponsors you'd like to thank?
Yeah, I'd like to say thanks to Phil Morris Racing, Morris Lubricants, OBR Race Paint, my dad, and I've got to say thanks to my girlfriend in the last one, so thanks to Heidi, and happy birthday to my mum as well.
Well, that's it from us here in North Wales. We'll return here next year, but join us again next month for the next round of Thundersport Elite at Mallory Park.